Afternoon everyone, this is Roy Coughlan for SA Boxing Talk. Today I have with me Paul Kamanga. Hi Paul, how you doing?
Alright, thanks. How are you, Roy?
No, I'm very well, thank you. So we've had quite an interesting afternoon.
We have.
I met Paul at Old Trafford, but you're not a Man United fan.
No, I'm an Arsenal fan. I do, however, have a lot of friends that are huge Manchester United fans, and so one for them, I took one for the team.
Fair play, I like your style. So what made you support Arsenal?
Obviously me coming from a French colony, Francophone country, growing up, our heroes were Zinedine Zidane and Thierry Henry. And so I started supporting Thierry Henry, and at the time he played for Arsenal. I just grew to love the sport. And not just him, there was a lot of other players. Henry, Vieira, there was Pires, and then I just grew to love the
and the Invincibles as well.
The Invincibles were undefeated at 204, 205.
For sure.
Although the guys left, the love for the team stayed, and I've been supporting them since. And my older brother obviously influenced me to support Arsenal.
Did you ever play football?
I did. As a kid, actually, funny stories that as a kid, I thought I'd be a football player. Everyone thought I'd be a footballer. I played football well as a kid growing up. I played for the local academy, and even 2 or 3 years in my boxing, I done boxing to keep fit for the football. And so I think taking boxing serious only came me like 4 years into my amateur career. But all along I thought I would be a football player. But even now I still play indoor football, still love to kick about, but nothing serious obviously. But I love it.
For sure. Well, you're a boxer now, and we're gonna move the conversation onto boxing. So it's been a month since your last fight. What have you been up to since then, and how's everything been?
Well, obviously I got a few friends here in UK, but different part of UK, So first place I went up to York. I got an old teacher from Mrs. Vesta from primary school. I went to her for the weekend, her and her daughters, and then I went down to Southampton. I was initially in Southampton at first, and so I went there for about a week. I went to see a few friends, and then I had a friend fighting Bracknell, and then I got back into training about 2 weeks ago. And so I took about 2 weeks off, and then I've been back in training for about another 2 weeks.
Brilliant. Okay, so you're back in training 2 weeks. How's that been going?
Obviously still slow, It's obviously after the loss, mentally takes a big toll on you, and so slowly getting back into it, trying to lose weight, and but it's all good, physically, in a physical sense, everything is what should be. But now it's just a mental struggle that I got to deal with.
For sure. But you're looking strong, and so obviously it's not going to take too long for you to get back into fighting shape.
Oh yeah, definitely. Obviously I've had to get over myself and over the loss, and I think the 2 weeks away helped a lot, and a lot of support coming from guys from South Africa, even guys here from UK. And so obviously I'm in the right mindset now to get back into it.
Great.
So, everything is going well.
So, since the Ohara Davies fight, considering the Ohara Davies, the man, and the character that he is, and the profile that he has outside of boxing, do you think your personal profile has been raised since you fought him?
In a sense, yeah, maybe. Obviously, the fact that he's quite popular, and I've been introduced to the British public. Obviously, not in a sense I wanted, I obviously wanted to win the fight and make an impact more than just be known. And so I think in a way, yeah, but also, I could have just been that bum that got beat by Davies, So it could be bad publication, but all publication is good publication. So yeah, I think it has in a way, in its own way.
Yeah, and I think just we saw the fight being announced only a few days before the actual fight. So you took that fight on short notice. Originally, Ohara Davies was scheduled to fight Josh Leather, and he pulled out. So you got the call up. Tell us how that came to be.
Long story short, I think I got back in UK about mid-April. I was in UK for about a week when Josh Leather actually messaged me on Facebook.
Oh,
He
really?
said, hey, do you want to come give me some sparring, please? Actually, I think he thought I was still in South Africa. So
Okay.
would you like to come to UK and give me some sparring? I think at the time he thought he was fighting a Russian kid, and he said, I got a very similar style to the Russian kid. So we agreed. I got him in touch with my trainer and everything. But I think a few days after that, he broke his hand. But at the time, he was now managed to fight Ohara Davies. But I think shortly after that, I think end of April, early May, he broke his hand. And so he told us the fight was off and I wouldn't need to go because he's in Middlesbrough. I didn't need to go to Middlesbrough for sparring. And so we just left it at that. And so but then when we got the call to fight Davis and they said Josh Leather dropped him in the last minute, we kind of knew that, no, this has been, Josh Leather refused to fight like 6 weeks ago, and so it's been a long time. But then we kind of saw how things had managed, and I think at the point realized they were planning to fight us anyway, and because he was the match to fight the last guy I fought, Christopher Sabir.
That's right.
And so I think they were just building up to see how he poses against Sabir and to make the fight against me. But the other thing is my granny just passed away, may she rest in peace, and I couldn't go back to South Africa for the funeral or whatever, and so it was a tough time for me, obviously being here away from the family. And when the call came, it was, I think, the best way for me to deal with that situation was to fight and get into that fighting mode. I think that's one main reason I took the fight, just to help me deal with the fact that I've lost my grand and I can't be there, I can't be with family during this tough time. And so we knew all along they were training for us. We knew that whole thing about Josh Leather that dropped them in the last minute was boo. And
right.
it was not true, because we knew when Josh Leather couldn't fight about 6 weeks. And they had about 6 weeks to let us know about the fight. And yeah, but I mean, it's life, you take chances, and we thought, let's take a chance too. It was a big show, O2 Arena.
Yeah.
And it shows you it shows you chasing in your boxing career.
Of course, and I suppose hopefully many more of those to come in your future.
Yeah. Obviously, this didn't pay off. I think the one thing that killed us really was the weight.
Right.
Obviously, having to drop about a stone in 10 days.
Very tough.
I remember weighing day, we had to still lose about 3 pounds, and it was tough, But I think, but I'm a big Christian. I'm a big faithful man. I'm a man of God, and I believe everything happens for a reason. And if this is what God wanted to happen, then so let it be, So I've got to move forward and not think back, move forward.
Fair play. I think, on that note, there was a lot of back and forth at the press conference. I mean, that was pretty much the only footage we had, as well as the media workout. And I think he was quite disrespectful there, from the side of the ring when you were shadowboxing. But how do you rate him as a fighter, considering you took the fight on short notice? And, now that you've shared a ring with him and all's been done, how do you rate him as the man? I
think there's a few things that surprised me at the time. I mean, he was so much bigger than me in terms of physical size, that I didn't expect that. And just his boxing skills were not there. Obviously he hit hard. I think that's the one thing I underestimated about him, is the fact that he does hit hard for the weight he's fighting at. And I think taking fight on short notice, taking nothing from him, I think he played according to the game plan and he got the job done. But I would say you might go far. You would. He's got the potential to him. He's hit hard at that weight. He's still young. He's got a lot to go. And so I think I would rate him a bit higher than I thought, but I still wouldn't rate him like at the top with all the other guys like Crawford and the elite of boxing as yet.
Right.
He's still young, still only starting his career, so he could maybe one day, but at the moment, no.
In an age where fighters use platforms like social media to promote themselves and also to call other fighters out, do you see yourself doing that in the future?
I think it's a possibility. I think I could. Obviously the platform has been set for things like this, and I've seen many fights happen purely because of social media, someone calling out, and what it does, it gets people talking, and if there's enough interest, promoter sees that they can make money from the interest generated by the two fighters, and it's possible. But the thing I don't like so much is that, you gotta go. It's not my character to go out, bad mouthing other guys or calling guys out and whatever. And so I'm not too sure I will, but I mean the platform is set, and so if there's a fight out there, and I think I'll do it respectful enough, but also enough to draw attention and call the guy out and just show him I'm serious. This is a fight I want, and we should go. But at the moment I haven't taken full advantage of that. But I think in future years, if there's a fight we really want and we can't get it to happen, I think I'll call on to my friend social media and see if we can get the fight to happen.
All right, and I think, so you've been campaigning at light welterweight, but you could fight at welterweight, you could fight at light welterweight, you could even fight at lightweight. Where do you feel most comfortable, and where do you want to push your career? In which direction or which weight category would you want to fight at going forward?
Obviously I started my career at super lightweight, but I have campaigned in the welterweight for, I think I had about 7 to 8 fights in the welterweight. I even won a second WBA title at welterweight. And so I think obviously with me growing up, and so still a lot happening in my body naturally, I could potentially become a welterweight in future. But at the moment super lightweight seems to be working out well for me. And so I think I will eventually grow into a welterweight, and who knows, maybe I'll even grow into a super welterweight. But obviously time will tell, and just sees how my body works out to be, and yeah.
Okay, and so you're based in Manchester now. I mean, I met you in Manchester. It's rainy. It's been hot in London. It's been hot in all over the country. But how's the transition? Because you actually came to the UK at first, and you started camp in Southampton, and now you've moved to the other side from south to north to Manchester. So how did that move happen, and how are you finding Manchester?
At first obviously went to Southampton. My promoter is actually from Southampton. His name is Albert Siesta, from Siesta Boxing. That is a promotion company. And so we had a good camp down there. He had a Russian trainer. What happened is the Russian trainer went back to Russia and couldn't come back. And I had one fight in Southampton, and on that same show there was a guy from Manchester, actually South African. His name is Sean Crow. He had one of his fighters was fighting down there, and so I think him and my promoter got talking, and then they offered me a contract to come and train with them up north in Manchester, because that's where he was based and that's where his gym was. And so I think that's how the move came to be. Obviously Sean being not just South African, he grew up in the south of Joburg, and I mean a few miles from where I grew up, and so I think that connection, he knew we could get along well, and fantastic. So that's how it came out to be. And then obviously moved. Manchester is different, as you said. It's hot everywhere else, but Manchester, it's different. It's got a mind of its own. It's windy, rainy.
Reminds me of Cape Town weather.
Yeah, beautiful though.
Yeah.
But just Cape Town is more beautiful.
Awesome. Okay, and then kind of the training environment, Southampton compared to Manchester, and also the UK training environment compared to what you were used to back in South Africa.
All right, just your first question. Your training environment from Southampton to Manchester. I think Manchester's get a lot more exposure to other professional fighters, because there is that much more professional fighters in Manchester than there is in Southampton. I mean, you got Rick Atten's gym, you got Coughlan also trains here in Manchester, and so obviously we get good sparring, and we get a lot of guys that you get exposed to, a lot of gyms you can go to, whereby Southampton is not too many of those gyms. I remember we had to drive almost to London for sparring when I was in Southampton, because there's not so many boxes there. And different between South Africa is the interest. I think the one thing that plays a big role is the fact that kids in UK can see a big future in boxing, and so they give their heart out, and the trainers give their heart out because they know what they're gonna get in return. Whereas South Africa, boxing wasn't doing so well, and people couldn't see the future in boxing. Yeah, so you see the trainers are not so serious. They wouldn't give so much time into boxing. The fighters itself, there was no motivation for them to go anywhere, because there was no way for them to really go per se. And so I think there is one different. But talent-wise, I think South Africa's got talent, just no exposure, no support really. Like I mean, UK is at the world level with supporters and exposure. I mean, there's got big fighters here that we know about in South Africa. I mean, Coughlan, Frock, you know. So if you got talent and you're trying hard in UK, I think you can go to the top. Whereas South Africa, it's a different story, you know. You can be talented and work hard and still go nowhere. So that's the one big difference.
And you know, speaking of South Africa and South African fighters, you keeping an eye on what's going on at home, you know, kind of looking at the fighters in your weight categories, and also kind of other South African fighters like Chris van Heerden abroad?
I do keep an eye out, but not so much for people in my weight, because obviously you want to go forward, and I think in South Africa we'll kind of be going backward, you know. I think Chris van Heerden is obviously someone to look out for, because he's in the United States, and that's the next level after UK is United States, and that would be a move going forward. And obviously I've changed weight categories as well. Obviously I was welterweight and now I've come down to super lightweight. And so I still keep an eye out, because I got friends that are still competing there. My brother's still fighting there, and so I still look what's happening there, and just to see, and obviously give my support to my friends that are still fighting there and everyone else.
All right, and what do you think is kind of what's next? When do you see yourself fighting next? Is there a date in the diary, or is there something you guys are still working towards or planning a comeback?
There's a potential September fight, obviously, but then that means obviously when we sign it, I want at least 8 weeks to train hard for a fair training camp, to obviously be well prepared when it does happen. And obviously I think when the fight just happened and I lost motivation and everything, and even first week of training, you know, I wasn't like into it, you know. I was thinking of other routes, you know. I was thinking of looking outside of boxing, you know. I even thought of football, because I used to play football as a kid. But now obviously it's just as I said, it's a mental battle that I had to fight, and I'm coming back alright. And now, so I think September, end of September it's a potential next fight, and that's the date we're looking at. And yeah.
Well, Paul, thanks so much for coming to talk to us today. Do you have any shout outs or anyone to mention, any thanks to give?
Oh yeah, I got many.
Go for it.
Obviously after my fight, it's probably one of the toughest times I've had to go through. Obviously coming from a loss like that on a big stage, you know. O2 Arena is 20,000 people, and so it's big. But you know, I've had a lot of support, you know. Obviously my family from South Africa, my friends, my fans. I've also got guys from here that have been really, you know. I got Tina Pedestrina. He's my friend that lives in Wimbledon. You know, he's been really helpful. Calls me often, you know. He actually put me on a diet, a good diet to lose weight. You know, he came to the pre-fight workout, and so he's been supportive. There's Vince Curry, you know, obviously my teacher in York. I got friends in Southampton. That would be Chris Kilby and his family. And so I've had so much support, and you can understand it. Obviously I'm here alone, and you know, when things like that happen, you feel like, wow, you know, what you don't have, you know. Sometimes, you know, you go to sleep and you don't want to wake up, you know. So it's tough. It's been very, very tough. But obviously with their support, you know, I've managed to get through it, and so I'm very grateful, you know. And when I say family in South Africa, I've got a lot of friends that I consider family. And so I want to thank everyone, the messages, you know, the posts on Twitter, or not Twitter, I don't use Twitter, on Instagram and Facebook and everything, you know. It has really helped me go through this tough moment and get back up. And yeah, so from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you guys. Your support means a lot to me. And yeah, you know, obviously I lost, but we're getting back into it with your support. I'm building myself up again for the big one, and I will impress next time. But thank you all.
Brilliant.
Grateful.
Thank you so much, Paul, and respect. We're watching you. We're watching your next steps, and wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. Cheers, buddy.